Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. We're gonna speak about the front lines update a little later. And now, as an aviation specialist in some certain way, I want to talk about the Russian Sukhoi 57. Yes, as they claim, the 5th generation of the fighter jet, which is not really true, and later on I will tell you why. Russians delivered one of their Sukhoi 57 unit to the Chinese air show. For that they used the Ukrainian-made Antonov 1-4 transport airplane. As you see, somehow Russians are still capable to maintain those. There were lots of the Chinese press and photographers, so we obtained videos and photos shared in internet. A very detailed images showing some of the wires, construction of the wing, the landing gear bay. Well, they've tried to avoid putting lots of the wires and tubes inside, like for example we have on Boeing. But this video went viral on X. Some of the Chinese representative of the press filmed the airplane from the close-by perspective, and he pointed the attention on a very poor paint job done by Russians. I would say definitely it is bad at first all across this edge, then in those gaps they're basically painted over. And also those bolts which are holding this construction fairing are painted over in many of the areas. The cameraman even pointed out himself with a finger that it doesn't look that great, so definitely this airplane could have been maintained in much better way. Also, we look underneath the airplane where the weapon compartment is located. You may see that the engine covers are kind of rough over here, and there is also a big gap in the door of the weapon compartment. Judging on this, I may tell you 100% that Russians were in a hurry producing this airplane. And you know guys, I was also surprised seeing all of those doors, rivets and so on. In a modern day aircraft of first generation made in the United States or even China, you will not see that stuff. Here we definitely see that those two plates do not fit perfectly between each other. It also tells about the precision of the production, but at the same time we shouldn't underestimate Russia, because it is one of their first built Sukhoi 57. On the top here we have the first test version of the airplane with lots of the rivets, bolts and so on. It doesn't look really finished, but on the bottom we have a newly made Sukhoi 57, which looks way smoother compared to the first models. Especially you may see it in the lower hatches here and here. In this place the rivets and bolts are absent, and here we have some of the stretches, maybe to mark this compartment. So the newest version looks way cleaner. But why it was like that on the first airplanes? Well, you need to have the access directly to the systems if you are testing the airplane. But then all of the flight tests are completed with your equipment, you can definitely seal the compartments. The only thing I don't understand is why Russia sent the older version of their Sukhoi 57. Especially that there are many journalists around and you should maintain your airplane before showing it to the public. But it seems like Russia doesn't care, and also they were definitely in a hurry producing the first variant of the airplane. Well, the bad thing for Russia that even though they're showing their airplanes somewhere in aviation exhibitions and air shows, they still struggle with production of the new models of Sukhoi 57. That's because of the Western sanctions applied on this specific product and its spare parts. Because the vast number of the components of the airplanes are made in the Western countries. We even got the information that Russia suspends Sukhoi 57 fighter jet production. Reason named sanctions. Russia is not using their Sukhoi 57 in the war against Ukraine, but still the Western sanctions applied hurt the Russian Air Force a lot. For now, Russia is using their Sukhoi certified fighter jet, which is, I think, the best fighter jet out there in the Russian Air Force, because Sukhoi 57 is still a vet airplane, even though Russia produced some of the number of those airplanes. But Sukhoi 35, I agree, is kind of capable machine against the Ukrainian F-16s. But still, it is not the 5th generation of the fighter jet. And here we have the list of the 5th generation of the fighter jets. You may see that Sukhoi 57, I think, is the largest out there. F-35 looks really tiny compared to the Russian jet or J-20 China-made. But as we see, it has just a single engine, and the smaller your airplane is, the harder it is to detect it using the radars. And also we see that there are lots of the curves in the airplane construction of the Russian Sukhoi 57. The more curved is your form, the easier it is to detect the airplane. So as for the detection, the size is big and there are many of the curved forms, especially in the bottom, the upper part and the nose. China also showed its airplane in this air show. It's J-35, the Navy version of the airplane. And even from this perspective, I may say that it is the well-made airplane. This is the thumbnail of one of the YouTubers who plays TCS simulator, and I've took it just from the internet, I mean this picture, and here you can see how China was clearly inspired by the design of the American-made F-35. What Chinese did that they put two of the edges to the airplane and they changed this letter from F to J. Yeah, I'm just joking, there are many of the differences, but you understand the idea. And I think you also remember the case how Ukrainian drones hit the Russian Sukhoi 57. It happened around half a year ago, and definitely here you can see the marks on the apron, so the shrapnel went inside the airplane, causing the damages. So even though Russia is not using those airplanes against Ukraine, but they already have losses. So what's the future of this Russian fighter jet? Well, it has no future. With the current problems in the Russian economy and with issues of delivering the Western-made parts to maintain those fighter jets, Russia will concentrate on their older weaponry, like Sukhoi 35 in the best case, which I already mentioned here. Also, Russians continue to use their very old airplanes like Sukhoi 27 and MiG-29. And not only against Ukraine, for example, this is the Russian Sukhoi 27, kind of the old airplane, but Russians managed to shut down the American drone MQ-9 over the Black Sea, as you probably know. The story happened more than a year ago. Was there the response of the United States? I would say no. My friends, if you like the job that I do on YouTube, you may also consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll put the link for my Patreon page right in the video description below. Thank you so much for your kind support. Alright, now let's go to the map of the Google Earth, because I want to tell you about the very important issue and the flow of this platform and Google itself. So this is the capital city of Ukraine, Kiev, and if we zoom in, you'll see that Zhelany commercial airfield, and if we zoom in closer, if we go to the 3D image, you may see that something here looks kind of strange, and I'm speaking about the Patriots systems which were supplied to Ukraine to protect the capital city of Kiev, but now Google Earth disclosed the location of Ukrainian Patriot launchers. Well, I knew myself that Patriots were located there since they were delivered to Ukraine, but that information was not the open one. And Russians also knew that the Patriot system was deployed in Zhelany. And now they see a very detailed images which will help them to operate. For example, here they already tried to strike the Patriot system. The shell went very close to it. And here Ukraine tried to cover something. Well, I believe that it is not ammunition, but it is connected with those Patriot systems. I think that for the ammunition it's better to use some of the hangars available on the territory of the airfield. Or maybe this is some sort of the underground storage. So now Russians obtained more information from the public sources like Google Earth about the location of the Ukrainian air defense, and they may obtain even more information in the future. It is definitely said that this image wasn't blurred by the Google Earth because Patriot is used to protect Kiev civilians. So I wonder now if Ukraine should move the Patriot system from the best location actually in Kiev. There is an open field, a very nice spot for Ukrainian defense, but it was disclosed openly. And by the way, let's go to Gostomel airport, the hotspot of the first days of the war of Russia against Ukraine, I mean the full-scale war. Well, we also have some of the fresh images. This is the hangar of the Mriya aircraft, the biggest airplane, Antonov 225, which was destroyed. By the way, guys, I do have the video on my channel of how I visited this airport after Russians left it. We did it together with the operator Starsky under his supervision. And here you can see the helicopter. It's the Russian transport helicopter which landed some of the infantry. It was capoted by Ukraine, and if we zoom out and go to this area, there is one more Russian helicopter, Kamo 52 attack helicopter, which was also capoted by Ukrainian defenders. That's the wreckage of the helicopter, which I filmed personally. And we also found out some of the China-made electronics which Russia uses in those helicopters. I'll put the link for this video in the video description just below for you to check it out. It is quite old, filmed more than 2 years ago. Yeah, the time runs really fast. And also here you can see the traces from the bombs which Ukraine used to target the runway. Yes, the own runway and the main taxiway. The runway has now lots of the dark spots, and those are the deep holes. So Russians were not able to use their landing airplanes Ilyushin-76 to deliver their infantry massively to Gostomel. So they used their reserve plan to go to Ukraine from the Belarus territory directly using their armored vehicles and trucks. But as we know, it didn't work. As you can see, Russia turned the Gostomel airfield into some sort of that citadel, which was later on demolished by Ukrainian artillery, and unfortunately, guys, it seems like Antonov 225 was hit by Ukrainian artillery as well. Simply, it was no other way of how to get rid of the Russian forces deployed in Gostomel, and mainly they parked their vehicles and forces in this hangar and also in front of Maria. I personally saw the CCTV video from the camera mounted on this hangar that there were tons of the Kadyrov vehicles, and after Ukrainian artillery fire, they were just gone. Unfortunately, I don't have that video with me, but it was impressive. So Russians tried to use the Gostomel airport as their main hub to later on attack Kiev. They even went to the nearby villages, remember Bucha, Irpin, and they even crossed this highway. They took more villages under control, but later on Ukraine gathered the forces. Ukraine planned the attack on the Russian group from 3 of the sides, and finally Russians retreated from the Kiev region because there was the great threat for their unprepared forces. Really, at the beginning of the war, the Russian army was not that prepared as it is right now. Alright, let's go to the frontline review. We have the good news for Ukrainian armed forces. There was the small but the firm counterattack done by Ukraine in the Kharkiv region, not far away from Hliboke. Yep, we don't have this update on the deep state, but we have the other sources which I constantly check. For example, the AMK mapping shows this advancement. It means that Russia overestimated its forces starting this offensive action in the northern side of the Kharkiv region. The situation for Russia in the Kharkiv region is similar to the situation for Ukraine in Kursk. They went there expecting to reach some of the strategic goal, for example, advancing towards the main city of Kharkiv. But now they were mainly pushed even from Vovchansk. Yes, they control the part of the city, but Ukraine here was really successful in small counterattacks. So Russians weren't able to reach their main goal in the Kharkiv operation, the same as Ukraine is unable to reach its goal in the Kursk region. The only difference here is that the front line in Kharkiv is stable for many months, but Russia may send some of the reinforcements to the Kursk region, including the North Korean soldiers, in attempt to regain the ground. So actually Russia has more advantage over Ukraine in the Kursk region than Ukraine has the advantage over Russia in the Kharkiv region. But still, the Russian army just can't move further. And now let's check what is happening in the east. So it was the military update recently, yesterday. Today you can see that Russia propelled really hard over here. Not just Ukraine left those very important heights, but continue to move westbound. So I say that there is the possible scenario for Russia even to advance bypassing this lake, because there are no any settlements in this area which Ukraine potentially may use for its defense. Well, there are just 2 of the defense lines on the way of the Russian army, but Russia may bypass everything of that from the northern part. And believe me, those defense lines are not really that robust. So it's just a matter of time that Russia occupies this entire region. On the south here, Russia also moves almost every day, and here they also expand this gray area from the north. It is understandable for me that they will try to cut this area. So 100% Ukrainian army will leave this place, probably to defend this road or maybe those settlements along the river. And let's check out the Russian army advancement since October the 1st. You may see that definitely they gained the territories with a very high pace. It wasn't like that since the beginning of the war. Day by day they're taking the ground, and it is understandable the direction where they go. So I also have no doubts that Krakow will be occupied and Russians will take at least this area this year. And all of that is possible for the Russian army because they occupied the main defense points of Avdiivka and Vuhledar. Those 2 settlements played the crucial role for Ukrainian defense. And with Pokrovsk, for example, it will be the same. So if Ukraine gives up Pokrovsk, it will open the way for the Russian army to strike Kramatorsk-Slavyansk or to go to Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. From the tactical and the strategic perspective, Pokrovsk is the most important settlement in entire Donetsk region, but it seems like Ukraine has just few of the chances to keep it under control. Oh, by the way, guys, today is the election day in the United States of America. The run goes very tight. The outcome is really uncertain, so this night for the European time I'm gonna launch the stream. Then the first results of some of the states will be calculated. I expect the stream to continue for at least 10 hours. Yes, that long. So after all, the final result will be defined by democracy itself, which works in United States no matter what. The United States of America is the most powerful country in the world. It influences our lives elsewhere. And for this reason, the result of the elections is not just important for American citizens, but for everyone. especially Ukrainians, because USA is our close ally, our partner. So see you on the live stream, and for now please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so you help me a lot, and as usual I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.